Hey everybody, it's Old School Nerd, and I'm laughing a lot. Oh, okay. So let's take a walk down memory lane. In the last 6 months, I've been called stupid, ignorant, an a-hole, a know-it-all, a blowhard. All of these things are technically true. Why? Because I'm not an alien, I'm not a demigod, and I'm not a robot. I'm a human. I have my own opinions, my own thoughts, my own ideas. And they're not always going to agree with all of you. So the last 24 hours, I've been having a whole bunch of fun engaging with those who disagree with me. Some of them disagree, but they respect my opinion. I respect them. We have a mutual respect. It's totally cool. Some people don't respect me, and they just want to tell me all about it in the comments. And it gets to a point where it gets so distracting for everyone else. See you later, buddy. Gotta go. You're being poisoned to everyone else, and it's not fair to them. So it's been kind of fun. Now, by the way, for those who saw the Evanescence reaction, it's 40 minutes long, okay? So I'm not expecting you to watch the whole thing because that in and of itself would be torture. But if you do watch the whole thing, you will notice something very unique. Everything that people are complaining about in the comments, they didn't watch the video. Because whenever I do a reaction, I try to tell people all the time, my reactions are 100% real. I don't do research of the band before. I don't watch the video before I do the reaction. And I don't make a little comment card to read so I can gush all over the band. And I don't, oh yeah, new camera. You guys like that? It's clean. I kind of like it. But the other thing is that I don't pre-record stuff to where it's like, or I don't do edits afterwards to make myself look good or to appeal to the masses. That's not what this is for. Back in November, this all started off with me saying, hey, in 1995, I walked away from metal music. And until 2015, I didn't listen to really any metal music at all. Because I went off and really discovered jazz, blues, classic rock, like, I don't know, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, some Chuck Berry, Bobby Blue Bland, Lou Rawls, B.B. King, Etta James. I mean, I took a musical journey through Americana music. So I skipped out on a lot of metal. So I started this whole channel just so I could reconnect with metal music because so many of my friends were like, dude, you don't understand. The metal music that you got away from that you didn't like because it was all industry standard stuff that the industry was pushing has kind of gone away because YouTube is so big that so many artists can just be expressive and nobody tries to make them something they're not. And I thought, man, that was pretty cool. That's what started this channel. And along the way, we've had bumps. I'm now a member of the Nightwish Army. But for literally 2 weeks after my first two Nightwish reactions, a lot of you remember, a lot of you that are subscribed to my channel as members of the Nightwish Army, remember, man, I was hated, man. But it's because I'm not the same as a lot of other reactors, okay? You can go to any number of reactor channels and they will literally clickbait that shit. They will know nothing about music. They'll know nothing about production. They'll know nothing about being an artist because they're not musicians. I am a musician. I've played piano. I've played bass. I've played drums. I'm more of a hand percussion guy now. And I've worked in studio. I've been doing sound engineering since I was 15, and I've been working in studios, and I've been doing sound for outdoor events and stuff. And I understand it, and I understand the pressures of doing it live. I get all that. Now, I'm a 46-year-old dad of 3 girls, complete computer nerd, and I play video games. I'm not a rock star. I'm not a rock performer. So let's just get to the level here. I understand the premise, and I understand the generalities, okay? But I also appreciate that now with YouTube, so many amazing artists don't have to deal with labels. They can just be themselves, have a good song, goes live and goes viral on the internet. Next thing you know, you're Leo Maracchioli. A lot of people on the internet know who Leo Maracchioli is. But it all started for him doing a cover of one song 5-6 years ago. And look where he is now. And he is so giving, he's bringing other artists. One of my favorite artists right now is Violet Orlandi because she has a very unique voice that I love her styling. Her vocal styling is very unique and I like it. I didn't know who she was until she did a collaboration with Leo. So the idea of YouTube, sharing opinions, sharing ideas, sharing talents has really become a boom for all of us. So yeah, do I do reactions to big bands? Yes, but they have to come from you guys. A lot of times when I do reactions to big industry bands, it gets blocked on YouTube because it's all about the money. But yet whenever I do a reaction to Leo or Violet or someone else, they're like, we love that you're into this. And I love doing reactions to small bands like Torrential Rain. And I've got one coming up. I did one for Hostage, but I have another one coming up from a band of nerds that just made a music video about, everyone has played Dark Souls, right? I'm actually going to be doing a reaction to a video that a bunch of nerds made in accompaniment to a song they did. That's a metal song, and it's all cuts from the video game Dark Souls, which everyone hates. But here's the thing. In the comments, sometimes someone connects with me, and it's beyond just a regular comment. Someone disagreed with me about Evanescence, but they did it very respectfully, and I appreciated their input. So I said, you know what? Give me a video right now to react to. And I'm not going to name the person. He's in the comments. You can see them in the comments. I don't want to put them out there because they may not be ready for what I'm about to do. This person requested Greta Van Fleet because this person knew that if I go after other bands 100% honest, he knows how I'm going to react to Greta Van Fleet. I do know who Greta Van Fleet is. I've listened to exactly 10 seconds of one song and shut it off. Shut it off. And it pissed me off. This was 6 months ago. Now, he said, I want you to do a reaction to this whole song, which means I have to sit through the whole song and I have to be honest, open. I have to have an open mind. Tell me, and he wants me to react 100% honest in a respectful way. Okay. Now remember what I just said. From 1995 until 2015, I spent 20 years enjoying jazz, blues, classic rock, folk music. Can anybody name a particular band? A fairly popular band? No, not fairly popular. Probably one of the godfathers of music as we know it, because they deviled in, and literally devil, they dabbed and brought in blues, folk, jazz, metal, and rock, mixed them all together in a devil's cauldron of musical mastery, stirred by the rock gods, and then forced us all to drink it. Band is Led Zeppelin, okay? Now, before I even start playing this band, I know they sound a lot like Led Zeppelin. Not only do they sound a lot like Led Zeppelin, a lot of people who've done reactions to them literally say they're ripping off Led Zeppelin. Are they? Are they not? I want you all to give me the benefit of the doubt and just hang on to the end of the song so I can tell you how I feel. Don't stop the video in the mid and go, Old School Nerd's wrong, and I'm going to tell him why. Just this one video, I'm going to ask you to watch all the way to the end and let me give you how I feel about it. And then, after you've heard my final opinion, then you can disagree with me. But don't jump all over my ass just because I make a joke about it or I make a funny line about it, because that's my personality. I have a tendency that when I get uncomfortable by something or something I feel aggressively, or I feel attacked by something, I'll make jokes about it, because that's my personal defense mechanism, is to be funny. When I'm nervous, I make jokes. And if you think it's easy to do what I'm doing a live, unedited, unrehearsed, unscripted reaction where I just have to press record and do it. You try it and see how well you bumble with your words. Now that I've rambled for a good 10 minutes, typical for my videos, like and subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you like this. If you like Greta Van Fleet and you're a fan of them, come on in. Because I can tell you right now, I'm probably not, because I'm a fan of Led Zeppelin first. But open mind, closed mouth, we're going to continue. Check us out on oldschoolnerd.com. It's got all of our social media posts. It's got our Patreon channel for those who want to help support the channel and listen to me rant and rave and go ape shit on people where nobody else can see it. And also the merchandise store. Here we go. This is Greta Van Fleet. I'm going to give them a shot. I have been avoiding them for 6 months. Why? Because when you spend 10 years straight listening to every Led Zeppelin album, and I have the Box Master set. Yeah, the big one that has like 3, 4, 8 hours worth of straight music and audience sessions and live things. I've watched the video Song Remains the Same from Madison Square Garden so many times it hurts. The Kennedy Center Honor performances, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame performances, I've watched them all. To me, they are, as far as music and pulling every type of style in and creating something that everyone can love, they are the masters of it. Let's be open and honest. I'm going to keep my opinions to myself for the most part, and then I'm going to share with you what I feel about Greta Van Fleet, their style of music, and is it new? Is it old? Are they stealing? Or are they just reinventing? Let's do it together. That didn't take long. Okay, the guitar, pretty common. However, the vocal ahs being echoed and vibratoed in the background, most people, especially people of my age and older, who have either seen Led Zeppelin live or are old enough to know the impact they've had on music for real, hear that and go, they're stealing from Led Zeppelin. They're going to think that. Our first initial thought is to think that. I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying the initial thought of most people would be like, they're just stealing from Led Zeppelin. Let's be calm and continue. Okay, again, that is 100% Robert Plant, classic. The riff, the wail, and using the word mama. To use the word mama when talking about a female that you're romantically or sexually attracted to is not exactly acceptable today. In fact, it wasn't even acceptable in the 80s, 90s, or 2000s. It was acceptable in the 70s and 60s, and he used it to his utmost effort. So by him saying mama in his rant, immediately tags him as he's doing a Robert Plant thing because of the word mama. If he had said baby or used a word that is more indicative of this age, you could kind of play it off. But for him to say mama, using the word mama, like I said, in a romantic or sexual way is not acceptable in the last 40 years. But if you go back to 1970, 1960, Robert Plant made it the word to say. He really did. So let's move on. Okay, every enunciation, every accent of every word he is saying, I want to, but I can't because I have to keep this live and real. You could literally play this next to any song on Led Zeppelin 2 and even Led Zeppelin 3. And his enunciations, his staccato, his tags on the end of words, his pronunciation of words and accents. 100% Robert Plant. There's no denying it. Do not even get into the comments and tell me he's not literally channeling Robert Plant. But please do not blast me into the comments until you hear the end of the video. Hang with me. It'll be worth it to you.
You are my special. You are my midnight, yeah. So sweet, so fine.
So fine? Okay. So fine? That little tag? Yeah. Okay, again, we've already established that this singer is going to channel. For all I know, Robert Plant went back in time, went to Jimmy Page's house, stole some Aleister Crowley black magic, and has possessed this lead singer. That's how identical the enunciation, pronunciations, and arrangement of his vocals are. If you disagree with me, then you have not heard any Led Zeppelin in your life, and you should. Again, I'm not giving them shit yet. I'm just stating a fact.
So nice. Oh my,
The other thing, I'm going to get off the lead singer now because I've climbed on top of him and pounded him into the ground already. The guitar player, the shadow picking and the blues, the very bluesy way that he's walking the chords. It's dun 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 dun. It's a syncopated walk down. Very indicative in blues, very indicative in folk and jazz. Jimmy Page brought that into rock and roll. And it was so unique when he did it, it changed music. It really drew people in. But then he can go from that into Jimmy Page has never, and I mean never, ever, driven a straight line through any song he's ever played. He loves to syncopate and hook his own chords. He plays tags on his own chords. That's his playing style. It's what made him so unique. This guitar player is doing it extremely, extremely similar. Am I saying he's as good as Jimmy Page? No, it's the first song I've ever heard of him, but he is doing that walk. And it takes a mindset to do the walk. The drummer is not John Bonham. He's not. And I think it's a good thing. He's not over jazz playing it, and he's not putting too much of that African style rhythm that John Bonham was so good at doing with the shadow hits and the off tom hits that kind of gave it that full sound. He's playing it fairly straight, but he's playing it with a good jazz tune. That makes him a little different than John Bonham, and that's good. I like that about the drummer. Now, again, I've pointed out things that are incredibly accurate. Everything that I have said, if you have ever listened, really listened to enough Led Zeppelin, you've identified every point that I've made as 100% accurate. If you've ever listened to Led Zeppelin, like really listened, and heard this song, you catching all these tags that say Led Zeppelin. Let's continue. Okay, again, this is another Led Zeppelin pull-up. The octave change to elevate out of a verse into a chorus where they all go up one octave together, and then another one before they fall in. The guitar floating up octavely, that's another Jimmy Page tag. Very, very indicative of Led Zeppelin back in the day. So here's the thing. If we just played the audio and you didn't put Greta Van Fleet on the screen, and all it was just an audio, and someone came up to you and said, dude, they found a lost Led Zeppelin track, never released. You want to hear it? And I'd be like, yeah. And they played it for me. I would 100% believe that it's actually a Led Zeppelin track. There are so many perfected similarities. The only thing that would catch me is I would be like, Did they record this after John Bonham died? Because the drumming is a little different, and they recorded it after John Bonham died, and they just never released it because they were like in mourning for John? You could literally think that. Now, again, I have not said anything bad about this band yet. All I'm doing is saying, wow, this really sounds a lot like this and this and this, and it's almost identical. Continue. It's so much like Led Zeppelin that there's a very good chance that the copyright company for Greta Van Fleet may not do a copyright strike on me. Led Zeppelin's copyright company might make a copyright strike because it's the algorithm that does copyright strikes doesn't just listen for the song. It'll listen for connotations, note connections, and things that are similar to it. Here's an example. You guys remember there was a video battle between me and the Bad Apples back in November, December, and it was so much fun. We made a comment in one of our videos, can the Bad Apples play Freebird? So the Bad Apples made a little video on YouTube and they posted it where it was just literally the bass player of the Bad Apples playing the keyboard organ part and the lead guitarist of the Bad Apples playing the guitar and the lead singer of the Bad Apples, and they played just a little rendition of Freebird. When they got to the guitar solo, the Bad Apples lead guitarist had the setting of their guitar to a tone so similar to Leonard Skinner, the algorithm of YouTube classified it as a remastered Leonard Skinner of Freebird. And a video that the Bad Apples made was copyrighted by Leonard Skinner. Now, normally, you'd be kind of mad about that. But if you're the Bad Apples and YouTube says, hey, you're as good as Leonard Skinner, Bad Apples are like, yeah, we are. So it's cool. So I'm interested, whatever copyright hit I'm going to get on this, because I know it's coming. It's coming. I mean, if not Greta Van Fleet, Led Zeppelin will copyright strike this. And when they do, I'll probably share it with you guys because it really is. Come on, guys. Come on. You know it is.
So sweet, so fine, so nice. Oh my, oh, sugar.
All right. That's the end. Okay. Now, let's talk about it. Okay. Real quick. I've talked about all the things that I saw that literally point this band to Led Zeppelin. If you've stayed in this video long enough and you haven't jumped away from the video to blast me in the comments for being wrong, here's your payoff. I like it. I really like it. Now, as a Led Zeppelin fan, as a lifelong Led Zeppelin fan, a huge Led Zeppelin fan, the kind of person that if anyone made a time machine, going to see Led Zeppelin live in concert in their heyday would be on the bucket list of the time machine, okay? We need them. And follow me on this before you freak out. There is no more Led Zeppelin. And honestly, we can honestly say that the day that John Bonham died in 1980, Led Zeppelin was done. They were over. They tried to come back a few times with Jason Bonham and other renditions, and it was good, Robert Plant did some solo stuff, but they never were able to recreate the magic of the late 60s and 70s Led Zeppelin. So much so that so many people them still to this day consider them the greatest rock band of all time. Arguably, okay? Look, you can do Beatles and Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin, and I've seen people throw them and just rank them 1, 2, 3 in every type of order, and that's fine. But for the uniqueness of their sound, the Beatles kind of started the British revelation, the Renaissance, the British invasion of music. Led Zeppelin said, we're going to take rock and roll and we're going to go to India. We're going to go to the American heartland. We're going to get blues, jazz. We're going to get this. We're going to get some Indian chakra music. We're going to throw it all in there, mix it all up in a wonderful concoction, and just throw it out to the world. And they did. Here's the problem. Led Zeppelin doesn't exist anymore. We have their music. And you have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of Led Zeppelin tribute bands. But at some point, Jimmy Page will pass away. Robert Plant will pass away. John Paul Jones will pass away. And there's no one to carry on that style of music. Now, some people will say that Greta Van Fleet should just call themselves a Led Zeppelin tribute band and stop trading on a sound that doesn't belong to them. That's an argument you can have. But I've decided to not do that. As long as they come up with their own lyrics, and if they continue to progress in styles that don't completely and totally mimic everything that Led Zeppelin does, I think it's a good thing. And this is why. Everyone my age knows who Led Zeppelin is. Even if you don't like rock music, you've heard the name and you know who they are. My kids have no idea. And my kids' kids have no idea. The social media generation has no idea. What if Greta Van Fleet turns on to music, the younger generation now, and they share it with their parents, and their parents are like, that's Led Zeppelin, and the kids go, who's Led Zeppelin? And then their parent shares it with them. We could get all over this band and give them shit about they're just stealing from Led Zeppelin, but they open a door that allows young people to interact with their parents and grandparents about a band that they like now, and their parents and grandparents are like, we had a band like that when I was young, let's listen to that together. Could Greta Van Fleet, in their, I'm not going to say they're borrowing it, I'm not going to say they're stealing it, but in the way that they're producing their music, that is so close, like literally identical, copying, to say, let's be honest, it is in some cases, the legacy and stylings of Led Zeppelin, if that then leads the young people of their age, and my children, and my children's children, to go and check out Led Zeppelin, isn't that a good thing? I mean, it is. Also, the number of bands that have pulled ideas and sounds from previous bands are a lot, 70%. Almost every band currently doesn't just come up with their own stuff. They're influenced by someone, whether it be Rush, Metallica, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, name the band. Everyone is influenced by someone else. Now, this goes a little bit beyond influence. This is influence as if like, hey, I like the way Jimmy Page played that. I think I'm going to do it. Just in this little part for this song, it's a great idea. But to literally do your entire arrangement straight out of Led Zeppelin 2, that takes balls. Now, they knew they were going to get hell from it. They knew they were, and they have. 50-50 on these guys. Half the people love it because they have no reference to it. But there are a lot of people that hate this band. And a lot of people thought that I would hate this band. If I took this band just to say, if I would look at this band and say, they're just stealing the legacy of Led Zeppelin and making it their own, yeah, if I was to think of it like that, I could hate them very easily. And I could never listen to another song they have and say those guys suck because they can't even come up with their own stuff. But is anyone really coming up with their own real stuff nowadays? Anyone? I mean, hell, Gojira is one of the best bands out there. And every time I listen to a Gojira song, I catch Pantera vibes in it. I'm going to leave the idea of whether you like Greta Van Fleet up to you. I've decided to accept them as an avenue to introduce the current age of music fan to something that their parents and grandparents love, that they may not normally get a chance to listen to or appreciate. I've decided to do that myself, consciously. So whether you like Greta Van Fleet or you don't like them, for whatever reason, think about it like this. How many people, if they're told, dude, Led Zeppelin was the greatest of all time, they're like, man, I don't even like that old shit. But you like Greta Van Fleet? Oh yeah, they're the shit, they're so awesome. Yeah, it's the same thing, dude. And they're like, oh. And then they go check out Led Zeppelin, which leads them to Jimi Hendrix, which leads them to Janis Joplin. Right? And it just goes on and on and on. And then next thing you know, you have people who pull their heads out of musical sand and look around, look to the past so you can look to the future. So Greta Van Fleet, if you ever see this reaction, know that, yeah, you know, you guys know you are literally the reincarnated four of a certain 4-member band. And you know it. You got to know it. We know and you know. But at the same time, if your music leads young people like yourselves and the next generation to appreciate the past, thank you. Now that I've done this and seen how much this video reminds me of Led Zeppelin songs, I now have to go look for Greta Van Fleet's stuff that doesn't sound anything like Led Zeppelin so I can enjoy them pushing. Because I have been told by other people, some of their stuff is completely Led Zeppelin, some of it is kind of different. I'm like, cool. That's what you're supposed to do. My name is Old School Nerd. And yes, I am old. And these guys are very young, playing the stylings of music that's old like me. By the way, the year I was born, yeah, huge year for Led Zeppelin. So, okay, guys, that's it for me. Kind of surprised, aren't you? You thought I was going to blow this band out of the water. No, not really. I mean, could have been worse. They could have come up and said, this is our original stuff and this is 100% us and we didn't copy from anybody. They know. It's okay. But they are damn talented. I mean, have you heard a lead singer do Robert Plant that good? Ever? I haven't. He's so good at doing the vocal stylings of Robert Plant. Like I said, you took the video out, removed the name, and just told me to my face, dude, hidden Led Zeppelin song never released before. Check it out. I would 100% believe him. So, not bad. See, you guys thought I was going to blast these guys away, but the thing about it is I've been avoiding them because I was afraid I was going to like them. And I kind of do. They're still not as good as Led Zeppelin, though. No, they're not as good as Led Zeppelin. Sorry. No. But they're damn close.